Yup, the moment has finally been brought down upon us, folks, and Deku has been awakened. Yup, Deku has finally whipped out his Black Whip quirk, and golly, man, it's been a long time coming. As a manga reader for My Academia, after watching this episode, I will say I'm very satisfied with how Bone Studio animated this episode. The build up to how the Black Whip quirk was unleashed was executed well, and we could see that All Might was shaking his boots when he saw it all unfold. And well, could we give a round of applause for Momoe having to provoke Deku into getting him into that predicament? And let's be honest, if Momoe wasn't a UA, he would definitely fit in as a villain, and a great one on that. And from what I saw in the episode when Deku was joined into the building, Deku did all he could to pull back this quirk from releasing it from his arm. And inside the building, Shinso happened to be there, and this guy was taken by surprise in this unprecedented event. And by the look of his face, his forehead is sweating, his eyes were in total shock, not knowing what's happening to Deku, and probably peed his pants. From the outside, Deku's Black Whip has expanded outwards, and both Class B and A students are seeing this from afar and running away from whatever the hell they were looking at. Then from the confirmation from his friends, it was revealed that Deku was behind this monstrosity as he was forcibly taken off by the Black Whip towards the sky. Seeing that, Ochako goes in despite the everlasting whips destroying the area, and Deku was in putting herself in danger. She launches herself towards Deku with a big hug, trying to hold Deku down, telling him to stop, though Deku couldn't stop the Black Whip from overflowing. With the field being destroyed as time goes by, Ochako spots Shinso and tells him to brainwash Deku. Shinso at first in that situation couldn't figure out a question to ask Deku, but he asked Deku if he could fight him, and with Deku still trying to hold down the Black Whip, he yells out yeah. Then as his eyes turn dead white with him being brainwashed, all of a sudden it transitions to him into this dark void world, and it's pretty much similar to a certain area he's been in before. He's covered up in this black smoke cloud. Then that's where he meets this guy who happens to be a former user of One For All. This guy comes out of the red cloud and tells Deku he's been using the Black Whip all wrong. To put it short, he gives a brief introduction to himself and explains to Deku how the Black Whip quirk works. And pretty much he states if Deku uses the Black Whip with anger, then the Black Whip will go haywire just like it did. After giving advice, he sends Deku off since he only had enough time to talk to him. However, one thing to mention about this encounter, the guy says to Deku that a Black Whip is cultivated into One For All, and the guy drops a big bomb of news to Deku, claiming Deku will manifest more quirks as time goes on, which itself is unbelievable to even think about. Hearing that is unreal, and this meetup is pretty much the beginning of what's to come for the future of My Academia. Now back to the present world, Ochako is repeating Deku's name as he's still brainwashed, and that's when Ochako gives him a hard slap on his face for him to wake up. And we see this cute moment of Deku and Ochako are both side to side falling down gracefully. This scene itself was a heartwarming scene between the two, with Ochako smiling at Deku. Seeing he's calmed down, but Deku is worried for Ochako's safety and asks if she isn't hurt. As both of them land on their feet, Momoe comes in from behind and counterattack Deku and Ochako as they're vulnerable. Along with Momoe, his classmate used their combined quirks to attack both Deku and Ochako right then and there, but thankfully backup has arrived with both Mineta and Ashito coming in hot to help them. As the fight escalates, Ochako and Deku are right next to each other from high ground. That's where we see Deku returning the favor to Ochako. From behind, Ochako was targeted by a binding cloth as it edges closer to capture her. Thankfully, Deku notices and catches the cloth from no other than Shinso, who targeted Ochako. After catching the cloth, it goes to the background of Aizawa, Black King, and All Might up close to the field. After witnessing the quirk outburst by Deku, All Might asks what they should do about it. Then Aizawa decides to just let the fight continue on. So from there, it cuts closer to Shinso and Deku's faces, with them having to go have their rematch ever since the Sports Festival, as the episode ends there. Jesus, bro, I've been waiting for this episode to be animated. And not gonna lie, as a manga reader, this episode really hit. And as I mentioned earlier, this would be a small step for Deku and big leap for My Academia. For me, when I first heard about the Black Whip quirk, I remember myself that this couldn't be real, and how is this even possible? For someone like Deku who was born with no quirk, be given the quirk One For All, then all of a sudden earns another quirk called Black Whip, then all of a sudden a spirit in the past tells you you'll inherit more quirks as the time goes on. Now in the present world, it seems like Deku and Shinso will have their rematch. In seeing a preview, both of them will have a hand-to-hand combat as round intensifies. In the next episode, we will see who wins match 5 between Shinso and Deku's group. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give this video a like. And if you want, consider subscribing to my channel for more My Academia content like this. And see y'all next time in the next video. Peace.